Hello and welcome to another Elder Scrolls Legends video. Today I will be talking about the new update that went live this morning, and it came with the ability for you to see the cards in your opponent's hand if you know what they'd be. A good example would be Raiding Party. Raiding Party generates 2/1/1 Nords, so you would be able to see the Nords because it says what it is. This is the same with stuff like Crown Quartermaster and Daggerfall Mage. It also has to do with stuff like Sentinel Reclaimer. It will show these cards. Now, I like the idea of having cards shown that we already know what they are, but I don't like the idea of having the buffs that they'll receive. Like, for instance, if you rally a Nord Firebrand from a raiding party, what will happen is it will show that it has been rallied. I think this is completely unfair and takes out some of the RNG in the game. Your opponent should not know what creature is rallied, for as much as he knows everything in your hand is receiving rallies, or for as much as he knows nothing in your hand is receiving rallies. This is just part of the game. Now, obviously, if you played a raiding party, he'd know that one of the Nords would have a good chance of getting it, but he doesn't necessarily know that. Like, you could be playing the Veteran Oathman, right? And you could get the rallies on this, but if all your rallies only hit the raiding parties, it gives some unfair knowledge that, hey, your hand is only creature, items, actions, or supports. So if all the rallies are hitting the Nords, then he'll know this. I also think it's unfair about how Arcane Enchanter is now basically useless. Arcane Enchanter you'd use just for the surprise keyword that you could throw in anywhere. Well, this update sort of ruins it. I mean, because now you get the dagger with lethal, which you were going to use to take down his Odiving, but now it doesn't even matter because he knows it and he'll place a guard there. Other cards that are ruined by this are Daggerfall Mage. Basically, a lot of the cards generate items, and this shows none of them. Here we go. So for instance, this card, terrible card, but now you would see the Iron Sword. And this card, the only reason why you'd play this card is the surprise factor of the Iron Sword later on. Same logic goes with Cunning Ally, Daggerfall Mage, and even other simple cards like Ice Wraith. Ice Wraith puts an Ice Spike into your hand, and your opponent doesn't know what it is, if he's not paying close attention. Now naturally, technically none of this affects skill levels because, hey, you could be writing down what they had. You could write down that they have the 3 daggers from the Quartermasters, etc. But it still ruins a certain other skill level, which is your remembering of this. Now, I also think that it's unfair because there are cards that generate a certain card, like the daggers, and instantly all those cards are ruined. Like Dwemer Centurion, if you play this and you get, I don't know, let's just say you get 2 Dwarven Spiders from your hand, but you have not found your halls yet. Well, in that case, tough luck, your opponent knows you're holding on to 2 0/3s, and he'll have the knowledge that you do not have halls of the Dwemer. It's as simple as that. There are other cards that can be ruined from it. For instance, there's cards like, basically any card that generates a certain object will now be known. Like Arin will now show, hey, he drew this, because you've already seen it. And if you're paying close attention, you would have seen it. But since you weren't, or you weren't really trying to, or you weren't writing it down, you won't remember. I find the biggest problem with this is the buffs. I don't mind knowing that my opponent has a dagger in their hand, or a Daggerfall Mage's Tome of Alteration. I don't mind knowing that. In fact, I think that's totally fine. In fact, that might even be a plus, but the good thing that I don't think is a plus is the random effects. The random effects that I'm talking about include Rally, the keywords from Arcane Enchanter, and other cards like that. Now, there's yet to be testing if they'll fix this, or if they'll just say that. I've heard that Devour will now show what happens. I heard that that was a glitch for a little bit. I'm not sure if that's totally true or not, but I don't know. So, I think that this has potential, but it needs to be looked at from a different view. I think that it needs to be looked at more carefully. See, I don't mind, for instance, here's another example. I don't mind people knowing that Lunar Sway puts the 4/4 Doggy Rot with guard into your hand. I don't mind them knowing that, but I do mind them knowing if the rally hits that, because that's could be potentially really important if you're running a low creature deck or a charge deck and you have the raiding parties that get the Norns and they get rallied. I also think that it will also be taking out a significant portion of Legends, which is math. And as you can see here, my deck, which was that I was using for laddering, which was a mid Sork deck. So far, it's a Legend 4, not this one. So far, this mid mono blue Sork deck had just the same amount of success because I didn't have any random keyword effects. Though I did notice my opponent was playing more around the Steel Dagger and Steel Sword around this and Cunning Ally. I think that the problem with them showing it all in all is that it now lowers some cards' value. Like, for instance, now the surprise effect from the Sentinel Reclaimer being able to suddenly generate these two things are great, but if you have to hold on to them, if they aren't ready to come down yet, then tough luck, it doesn't really help you. So I personally think that they should at least only show the cards, a picture of the cards, maybe the stat lines that they come with, but a warning that these will not be the actual cards potentially. I don't think that they should show the buffs, etc. Well, this is my thought. If you disagree with me, please write so in the comments. And I'll see you next time.